Welcome back, everybody, to the Me and Jesse podcast. My name is Mark Pavelich from the Great North and the star of our show, the one and only, the big sexy, one of my ultimate favorite people in the entire planet, arguably one of the greatest fishermen of all time.
Wow.
The one and only Jesse Martineau.
Which planet?
It could be Pluto, but I just,
Is Pluto still a planet? I'm not sure. They keep changing their mind on that one.
Yeah, well, you never know, right?
Yeah, you don't know. You know what else is crazy?
Tell me.
Lamar Jackson.
You know what, Jesse? I swear to God, I have it in black writing across my thing here. And the only thing I kept thinking about today was, did my Raiders blow their load way too fast? Because, yes. Because, listen, Jesse, how can we explain this without insulting everybody in the Raiders organization, which we should do anyway? How the hell can you not see that Lamar Jackson was going to bounce? He was going to leave. You could see it coming.
The writing was on the wall.
Yeah, they panicked. They absolutely panicked, and they went inside.
Well, here's the thing.
Jimmy G.
Here's the thing. Like, in Baltimore's defense, okay, Lamar's pissed. He's not happy. He wants to go. He wants to go somewhere else.
Well, he's also injured. He also gets a ton of injuries.
Yeah, he does. But, okay, so you know that. You know he's not going to sign a contract. That he rejected massive contracts. So what do you do?
He wants a big guarantee, though, Jesse.
You need to protect your asset. And so what you do is you slap the franchise tag on him.
Yep.
Now everyone that wants to pay him has to match, but they also have to give picks to Baltimore if he signs with another team. So, it's like, okay, well, he might go. Let's try to do this. Now, in one thing, I do kind of like the NFL in this way because they have eliminated a little bit of, I'm not playing here. I'm taking my Eric Lindros draft thing and going somewhere else.
Good point.
They have eliminated that a little bit and said, you know what? We're going to try to protect the teams a little more and say, hey, even if you're going to pay them tons of money, and you could lose it to another team, we're going to try to defend you by giving you some picks along the way. Now, that being said, is this season a write-off for the Baltimore Ravens?
Who can say that anymore in the modern day NFL, Jesse? Who can say that? Look at San Fran last year with their quarterback, the kid that stepped in. Nobody knew. Mr. Irrelevant became relevant. And now you have a QB battle in San Francisco, which they never expected in a million years, which is always a good problem to have. And then you start looking at other teams, and Zeke Elliott's not with the Cowboys. Now they're saying he might be back with the Cowboys. So they were last week. I got off the ticker tape before the show, like always, and literally last week Zeke's done with the Cowboys. Screw the Cowboys. Blah blah blah. Zeke is now, they're like, well, wait a second, because of what you're talking about, Jesse, it's not that easy just to go, I'm not playing. Just like Lamar, I don't want to play in Baltimore no more. Not so easy. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to go back, and it's going to be a shit show because people are going to be mad at you for the 14 things that you said incorrectly about the organization you played for. So I don't know. It's not going to end well for either one of them, in my opinion. But Lamar Jackson is, in my opinion, the quarterback of quarterbacks, meaning like he can throw, he can run, he can scramble, he can do all these things. He could throw right-handed, he could throw left-handed. I mean, it's crazy. So for me, the only problem with Lamar is he's got the Jimmy G syndrome. He gets injured. Because when you go that fast, you get injured. So that's what happens.
And then, of course, the new thing is that he did request a trade on March 2nd. So, hey. Yeah, jeez, man. Like, I don't know what you're going to do this year. We'll talk about that and a heck of a lot more when we come back on the Me and Jesse podcast.
Get ready. It's time for the Me and Jesse podcast with Mark Pavelich and Jesse Martineau. Get ready. It's time for the Me
And here we are back with the Me and Jesse podcast. This segment of the Me and Jesse podcast is brought to you by Backscape, but I'm changing the name today. It's going to be called Topscape, which means you can use it on your front as well as your back, everybody.
Yep.
I found that out today because, as you know, Jesse, I am a dolphin. Okay, I like to be dolphin-esque. Okay, so I was using it on the front today, and I said, "Holy shit, this works on the front!" So Backscape, yes, it's Backscape, but we prefer at our show to call it Topscape.
Now, when I first met you, you used to go swimming all the time.
Don't, Jesse.
I have to.
Yes, I love to swim, and I'm a very good swimmer.
That's it? Why aren't you swimming still?
Okay, this is the... Listen, public pools, this is the problem, okay? So I'm at this place, undisclosed location, and I'm swimming every morning, and I'm swimming like a mile, 2 miles. That's kind of my thing, right? I'm really good breaststroker, front crawl pretty good. I can swim almost every stroke except the butterfly. So I can swim the butterfly for just long enough to make a TikTok video, and then I would fizzle out. So what happens now is I'm swimming one day, and this guy walks up to me and he says, "Hey, are you Mark Pavelich from the MFC?" And I said, "Yes, I am." He goes, "You swim here every day?" I go, "Every day. Every day." I go early enough because I want to get in there before all the geriatrics get inside the pool, right? So I want to go, I swim. And I said to him one day, I said, "How clean is this pool?" And he started to laugh, the guy that actually cleans the pool. And he said he's not part of the gym where I was training at. He is literally from like the how do you say it? Like the sanitary guy for the pool association. He does all the pools in the city of Edmonton. So I said to him, "Hey, how's the pool?" He says, "Let me tell you, Mark, listen, it's not going to kill you." But he said, "Let's just pretend the whole top layer of the pool, about a millimeter, like less than a millimeter, is literally urine." And I was like, "Hold on a second. What'd you just say?" He said, "Literally, before I come and put all the stuff in, and all the stuff gets killed anyway, right?"
Yeah,
he says,
"Sure."
But he says it literally is like not a millimeter. It was like less than a millimeter, but there's a film of piss on the top of this pool. Jesse, I grabbed my shit. I never swam again.
Yeah, you haven't swam back anywhere
in a public pool ever again.
Yeah.
And in Vegas, I love my hotel Encore. And then I'm at Encore and I want to go. Mano's like, "Why don't you go for a dip, But then I'm watching all these idiots that are in the pool for 4 hours, sitting at the swim up bar. Not one of them left to go to the washroom the whole time. They're sitting at the swim up bar for 4 hours. I don't know about you, but if you're smashing back Budweisers, how the hell can you sit there for 4 hours without taking a leak? So I not that I'm the smartest guy.
It's a good question.
Good question. So I'm not the smartest guy in the world, and I figured, these guys are pissing in the pool, right? So now I've literally not swam anywhere for the last 4 or 5 years. I can't wait till I swim again. But I don't know where. I just maybe lake swim, something. It's cleaner in the lake than it is in the pool, apparently. And so I don't know. I haven't swam since.
Well, hey, there you go. If you're wondering, everyone, what to do in a pool, the fact of it is, don't go in one.
Well, it's the same thing as Brazil when they did the Olympics.
Yeah.
They want to show you the beauty. Listen, I'm not going to put down Brazil. I have a lot of Brazilian friends, whatever, but let me explain to you this. Rio is a shithole. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil is a dump. And literally when they had the Olympics there, they were telling the triathletes, and you could go Google it and look it up. You want the truth, everybody. Come to the Me and Jesse podcast, 5 p.m. Mountain, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, every Monday. We'll tell you the truth. When they had the Olympics there, they wanted them to wear dry suits in the middle of summer, which meant the same shit you wear if it's minus 40 outside in the water, so that because the water was so polluted. And there was literally one of the trial runs, there was an actual couch floating in the water while they were doing a practice run. So, it's, most people don't care, the less than millimeter film of piss on the top of the water in public pools. I personally do.
That's a good
And
one.
I'm not going to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil anytime soon to go swimming in that dump.
You know what else is a dump? Is the New York Jets. Now,
well, what's going on there, Jesse? What's going on
I don't
there?
know what's going on. That's what I'm trying to find out. We're all trying to find out what's going on. Is Aaron actually going there? There's even people saying that Lamar's going there. And
if the Jets were smart, right now, they would pause, because you know what I would love more than anything? I loved Rodgers for a split second in time when I thought he was actually going to become a Raider. Outside of that, I think he's a fucking idiot.
I think he still can.
No, but you know what's weird, Jesse? He's playing this weird game with people where he might end up back in Green Bay. And if he ends up back in Green Bay for some weird reason, he's in big trouble this time. You know, the fans, the cheeseheads, they love themselves some Aaron Rodgers, right? But guess what happens now, Jesse? After this time's different. He basically was giving them the old hasta luego. And you know what I'm telling you? This time around, if he ends up back in Green Bay, it's not going to be good.
It's interesting. He just spent some time in a darkness retreat. We're not sure what that means, but I
don't know what
he's always been a bit of an odd cat. Like I said, he looks like the guy that delivers your Amazon packages. And
I agree with you.
And so you're never really sure.
Why isn't our team on our TikTok team hasn't done that yet?
They did.
Please.
They did.
Yeah, we did it, but we need to re-promote that a little.
That one.
Yes, because that one was very funny.
Now the rumor is that the Raiders did call Rodgers. I still think it's back on the table now with this Lamar stuff.
Where's the money going to come from?
Well, that's the other thing, because you can get Rodgers much cheaper though. Yeah, I know that, but you don't have to give all those picks away. That's why I think Raiders are out of that, because they don't have those picks to give. The Jets could do that. I think if you're gonna get Lamar, you might as well. Like, what else are you gonna really get?
I think Lamar over Rodgers right now.
The problem is that they spent so much on getting Zach Wilson. He was a high pick, so that's it. You're mailing it in on Zach. So is that it? Like, maybe you do need to take that runner on Lamar and just go for it. Someone has to go for it. The Commanders have already said they're out. They're out of the deal. And so, okay, that was one of the spots. The thing that I don't get about Lamar, obviously there's something going on, because, in the Ravens aren't bad.
They've never been bad.
Never been bad. Where he would have to go is going to be worse than the Ravens, most likely. Who can afford to pay those picks and stuff like that, and with the space to do it. And so you're like, okay, well, does it make sense if you're Lamar to go anywhere else? Because is it really going to, help your career? Does he care about that stuff so much? Or does he want the guaranteed money? Everybody wants the guaranteed money now. Russell wanted the guaranteed money, got some guaranteed money.
Yeah,
everybody wants guaranteed money, and I get it. I get it to a thing, but have we I think the amount of guarantee that's happening is kind of crazy that's going on right now.
Well, that's what the game's coming to now. So the game's flipping the switch now. Guys are saying to themselves, okay, man, if I'm going to play 8 years or 10 years or 6 years or 4 years, I want my 4 years and $40 million or $80 million, and I want 60 of it guaranteed. So then I can bounce regardless after playing 4 years, and I'm half crippled anyway. So
I think they're trying to protect their own, if they do get injured catastrophically, they can collect money, which I agree with to an extent. But I think that they're, the amount that it's gone to is a little out of hand. Like, I do think there needs to be some more protection.
Jesse, aren't you fully convinced now in this day and age where it has finally come down to is it's really hard to get motivated if you're making $200 million a year, if you're making $80 million a year? The love of the game is not so much the love of the game anymore. Listen, Live Golf has proven that 1,000%. Unfortunately, I love the idea of Live Golf. I love the idea what they were doing. But you know what, bro? Let me tell you something. A lot of great golfers that went to Live Golf ain't so great anymore. And if it was a coincidence, I'd say, oh, it's a coincidence, 1 or 2 guys. No, it's it's 8 or 9 or 10, 12 guys that are just playing horse shit right now. Why? Because they're making already $150 million. It's like, oh, it's just like playing Sunday golf. I could care less, right? And that's what's happening. I mean, guys are opting out of tournaments because, oh, my wrist is sore. They're paying you $200 million a year and my wrist is sore. So what I'm saying is that, listen, Jesse, it's the old additive. If I rolled up to your house today and I said, Jesse, here's a truck with $100 million in it, which is fuck you money. That's what it is, right? And you get paid that, and I go, Jesse, here's your $100 million. Is your drive for other things going to be so great anymore when you're on a plane with Nikki going to Aruba?
Yeah,
not so much, my friend.
I do think that is the case in some. I just don't know.
Lots.
Man, like, I don't know. Like, is that always? It's a tough one for me because, yes, okay, that's a big part of it, and you're getting paid and all that stuff. But, I mean, there was something that you had to do something to get you to that point, and you lived your whole life that way.
You're getting fuck you money. And I'm telling you, like Joe Rogan said it the other day. I hate to quote Joe, but Joe said it the other day. He's like, yeah, man, I got that kind of money now. Like, I don't answer to nobody. Like, it's like,
no,
I want to, and just like these players that go, I don't want to play here no more. I just don't. I don't want to play here no more because they don't. And you know what happens? If they really don't want to, Jesse, they don't have to, regardless of what anybody says. If Lamar Jackson really doesn't want to play anymore, they can't physically make him play. And you know what happens then? They have too much money on a cap that they have to get rid of. They have to get rid of this guy. He's bad for the dressing room. He's bad for the team, even though he's a great quarterback. Who knows? Listen, how they dealt with him 2 years ago, I can't even believe he's still there today because they were jerking him around from day one about re-signing him. And it's like, I can't even believe he's still there to begin with. But guess why? Because he can't just walk out the front door like we think he can. And I'm telling you, man, this is the sign of the times. I just can't see how you can stay motivated making the money that's being made. That's why I think an NHL is still so competitive, because those guys might make a great hockey player makes $4 or $5 million in NHL. The greatest hockey player makes $11 million a year. Now, for all the people at home that know about taxes, they know in our country, $11 million is not $11 million. It's about $6.2 million, right? So if he plays all his entire career, that's the best player in the actual NHL. The other guys that make $2 million, $3 million, $4 million, they got to play 10 years, Jesse, because if they don't play 10 years, they're retired at 32. They got another 40, 50 years of their life. What are they going to do? Work at a gas station?
Well, we've talked about that a lot with athletes on the show, too. Like, how do you deal with that? And a lot of them were from another era when they didn't have what they have today with making, residual income and stuff like that.
That's right.
And so what do you do? Like, obviously, that is a big
My dad makes more now at 90 years old than when he was in the NHL as a linesman. He makes more without being a linesman today.
And that's how it is. And
those NHL checks are coming into the house at Mr. P's house every month from the NHL. Bing, bing, bing. He's like, he doesn't even know what to do with the money because it's so much more than he was making when he was actually in the NHL.
Yeah, it is interesting. Now, another interesting thing is the draft that's coming up. Obviously, it's a big one for a lot. My team's got a very high pick, but Carolina really has tried to do some things in the offseason. Yes, they deal DJ Moore, but they get some people back. Do they take CJ Stroud at Ohio State? Huge 6'3", 215 pound quarterback.
I like him.
A lot of people have like quarterbacks going like 1, 2. And
which is
Arizona,
weird. That never happens.
Well, yeah, they were saying 1, 2, 3, but the thing is that Arizona has the third pick, and why would you take that kind of a thing and not go for the edge rusher kind of thing, which they could absolutely use, and the best one in the draft by far. And then you get then Colts have to take a QB because they need it. Right. But those three teams, like before the Hawks anyway, need quarterbacks like big time, like it's going out of style. So you can see that easily. The 1, 2, like Stroud or Bryce Young. Bryce Young's only 5'10". We've seen it work with guys like Russ, obviously, but is that a thing?
But
I don't know.
It's not. Moving forward. It's not a thing anymore.
Yeah,
really. You need a guy that can see over the offensive line, right? Your offensive linemen are 6'3", 6'4", 320 pounds. You got to see over top of your line. I mean, that's hence why Tom Brady did so well. he could see over the line, and he didn't have to move much. He didn't have to go anywhere much, right? And that was probably in his contract. I guarantee it, because it couldn't be a coincidence. It's all these years that he always had the best offensive line in the NFL. He had it in New England. He had it in Tampa Bay. And it's like, oh, wait a second. For all the people, you fantasy football geeks that are out there going, oh, Jesus, Tom Brady, the great, because he had the greatest offensive line every time he played football. Not once he didn't, and that's a fact. Go check. And you know what? That's why offensive linemen now are getting paid, $80 million contracts, because Tom Brady.
Yeah, you have to pay those guys, and people that don't really know about football don't really think about them as being paid, but they're actually some of the highest paid players, because
they have to be.
Your whole team lives, rides, or dies with the O-line. Like, if the O-line sucks, and I've seen it for years.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, man.
Ask Russell Wilson how that worked out for him.
Yeah,
he took all the money. There was nothing left for offensive linemen. The line sucked. He had to scramble. He was the most, I can guarantee you, without even checking statistically, he was easily the most scrambling quarterback of that era of the 3 or 4 or 5 years when that was really a problem. And literally, there's Tom Brady, 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004, 1,005. Then I go check one day and I go, what's the average time for quarterbacks to get rid of the ball? You know what it was? It was 2.5 seconds. 2.5 seconds.
That might even come down.
Tom Brady was like 4.1 or go check. I mean, it was crazy. I was like, that's insane that you only have 2.5 seconds to throw the ball in the NFL.
It is crazy. Like, you don't have much.
Yeah. No, it's nuts.
Yeah, it's around 2.5.
Yeah,
this
year
went up.
You think I'm bullshitting our audience?
7.
What do you think? I don't know the stats? Come on.
I know.
What the hell's wrong with you over there? What are you talking about? Of course, I know.
It's
it's crazy.
You don't have much time, and again, like, when you start getting hit that much, everything falls apart. So you got to get that old line in there.
Hence Derek Carr. Why wasn't Derek Carr successful in the NFL? Because one steamboat, 2 steamboats, and half a steamboat was not enough for that prick. So that's what happened. That's what happened. Listen, if you don't have a scrambling quarterback in the NFL today, you're dead. You're dead. Is Tom Brady the greatest quarterback of all time? 100%. Is that era dead with him? 100%. If you can't scramble and move in that pocket after 2.5 seconds, you're screwed.
Yeah, you got to get the ball out now, and it has become more passing again. There was a time when all the runners were doing all the heavy lifting, and some teams still do that way, but all the committee running and all the the different play calling that they're doing, it really does come down to that O-line giving your quarterback some time to actually get the ball down the field.
Or to give everybody some relief, you have Josh Jacobs. You have You have Ezekiel Elliott. You have these type of players. You have these type of players.
Zeke, here's another thing. Like, Zeke is, man, he fell off the map big time. But I do think he's serviceable.
He can fall back on.
I think he's serviceable for teams. I really do.
Oh,
I don't think that he's a write-off. Like, I think that when you look at him...
I like him too. You know what the crazy part is? I know he plays for that shitbag team, Dallas Cowboys. But what I'm trying to tell you is I like him as a player. I really do. I think he's... I think he's special.
Personally, he's a moron.
Well, I don't hang out with them, right? So I don't know, right? And I don't really care anymore. Like, you understand what I'm getting at? Like, with athletes, I don't give a rat's ass. I want to watch John Jones fight because he's the greatest of all time. Is he like a decent, ethical human being?
Yeah,
probably
that's different.
Not
that's
so much.
Different. And again, I agree too. Like, if you're a player, you're a player, and you play the game, and that's it. Off the fields or out of the spotlight.
We watch boxing.
You don't have to like anybody. And again, that is the thing. Yeah, like, I do think that too. And but again, they do in the NFL. Does look at sometimes the off the field antics.
Tiger Woods, buddy. Tiger Woods. I got 2 words for you. Tiger Woods.
Yeah, I mean,
that's all I got to tell you.
It's it is funny, but again, Ezekiel Elliott is 27 years old. He's getting to that stage, but I think he's got a couple more things. I think he's
3-4 really good.
Yeah. Man, where could he land? I don't know. They're saying today that it's not out of the question that he could be a Cowboy again. I just don't think it really helps him. But again, what does it do? Maybe he does something else in a Jets idea type of a thing again. I mean, is the Jets the landing spot of
when did they become the landing spot? I didn't even think that was a thing. Like, I don't know. I think Rogers is mentally something wrong with him. Like, you understand, like, just him going to the Jets by himself without people like Zeke and everything is not enough to get them past the finish line. So he's actually going to a worse case scenario than he is in Green Bay right now. Because at least in Green Bay, they're always a game in or a game out of the playoffs. So he's better off in Green Bay. And now that he's basically gave him the old wave goodbye, which he did. I don't know, man. I don't see being in the Jet situation better for him. I just don't.
Yeah, I really don't.
No,
think that it's a good thing, especially.
And I don't know.
Lamar news.
Yeah, but how much more money? How much could he actually make? That's going to make that much of a difference to finish your career off like that. Like, I don't know, man.
I don't think it's about that. I think it's, and again, that's my thing with Rodgers. Why wouldn't you go to a team where you have a shot of actually going deep? Does he think the Jets are that, or is the Jets the only people that can have offered anything because people think he's? I think Rodgers has time left. I really do. And I'm not a Rodgers fan. I do think he has time left. I actually think that he could be better at 40 than, well, maybe not Brady, but he could be the second best 40-year-old player. And why not? I think it's fair to give a team a shot. The problem with Rodgers is Rodgers. And Rodgers doesn't really know what Rodgers wants, I think. And we heard it how many times. And with, he's not going to play last year in Green Bay. He's not going to play the year before in Green Bay. Green Bay screwed him the year before that, and he still goes back to it. So, how much is okay with Rodgers? How much much does he make sense?
You're right. He's 39 right now, and he turns 40 December 2nd. So,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's 40 years old, man. You're talking about a 40-year-old quarterback, and it's like, I don't know, man. Like, who knows?
Yeah, it is crazy. Now, something I'm not, huge on, but obviously a lot of the states is Final Four. Is the
it's fun to watch.
You know what? It is. It's pretty interesting when all the top teams go away, and now you don't know what's going to happen, and that's it is rare in basketball for that to happen. To be honest, like usually you can pick the top 4 or 5, and one of those guys are going to go in there. Now they're all gone, and now you have a whole new tournament to
it's
watch.
Bizarre. Yeah,
it actually will help the ratings on this immensely because you don't know what's going to happen, and the betting thing and the pools and the brackets and all that stuff are so big in this event. Now I wish that being on the north side of the American border, I wish that we did more with it, because this is where we need to invest as Canadians into our basketball future, because we should be pumping this stuff across our networks or whatever to get more people involved, but we don't do it. We just don't. Hey, we have the biggest award show in Canada, the Junos in Edmonton. Did you even know that happened a couple of weeks ago? Like,
yeah, I did, but most people did.
Most people didn't.
Look at the Final Four though. You have Florida Atlantic, number 9 ranked. That's not number 9 in the country. That's number 9 in the like that section. Okay, so don't get that twisted. Number 5, San Diego State. Playing number 5 in the other side, Miami of Florida, against number 4 UConn. I mean, that's insane. Like number 9 Florida Atlantic. Like, are you joking?
Dude, again, you can't make this stuff up sometimes, but that's why you play the games. It is awesome that kind of stuff happens, and
hence the name March Madness.
March Madness again, and it was like that for a long time, but for the last number of years, maybe a decade, it is. You could predict it pretty closely in that Final Four thing, and now the madness definitely came back this year, which is pretty awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. Just reading, like, there's been a lot of things today about the Rodgers Jets deal. Just a little side thing that some things are talking there, and it looks like some parties are getting some cold feet involved. So we're not even sure that this is going to happen.
Yeah,
it seems so sure. Like, again, a couple of weeks ago, really, and now you're like, it's not really sure. We're not sure. We're not sure what's happening. But, obviously the Lamar news. Maybe Jets knew the Lamar news. Maybe they knew he requested a trade. I could actually probably see that. And okay, let's drag our heels a bit to see what happens with this kind of thing. And to go with from there. But again,
take Lamar Jackson at what age he's at right now, right? And against Rodgers, oh, I don't know, man. It sounds like more of a future with Lamar than it does with Rodgers. So, I don't know, man. I look at it like I'm just checking right now at Lamar, and I'm kind of trying to read his contract too. It's just weird, like what he's promised, what he's guaranteed, what he's 26 years old too, right? So you're looking at
that, for QB, he's got a lot of time left. He's got a decade.
At 26 years old. So if I'm the Jets right now and I don't have a deal with Rodgers at 40 years old, I say, hold on a second here, man. Wait a second, Lamar. How bad are your injuries? Are they kind of bad? You might not have to scramble as much because we're going to go after some really good O linemen. So okay, perfect. You come with us for 10 years and call it a career, and you retire with the Jets jersey on, and maybe a Super Bowl, and not with a Baltimore jersey. Right?
Yeah, I think so. And so this is I just read this here that Lamar's deal, actually what they did with the franchise tag is a little bit different because now they kind of left it open so it's non-exclusive. So you can actually make a trade offer for him rather than just here's what you have to give. And so I they're trying to get 2 first rounders. I don't think they're going to get it if
No, the Raiders are looking. You know what the Raiders are doing right now? They're swearing at everybody, going, "How can we get rid of Jimmy G right now?" Because, like, can you imagine he came to be a Raider? He walked around the establishment, but this is the NFL, and if they had any sense in their brains, they would dump Jimmy G somewhere. I don't know where, and get Lamar.
Denver, but the
the
thing is too is that Denver gave up those picks. Now here's the problem, and Lamar smelt blood in the water because the Russ trade last year, they gave up 2 first rounders for him, and so there's a precedent-setting case already that hey, Russell went for this, and look what he did, nothing, and at the time still you're like, okay, well it was Russ before we thought that. But he was still older. So, there's a good case for Baltimore to make that, hey, we need to get at least what Seattle got for us. Because, hey, this guy's got 10 years. This guy's over a decade younger and, arguably could do it for longer now that Russ has paved a way in the league for it. So
I think Rodgers is going to have a similar season like Russell Wilson had in Denver.
Wherever he goes.
Wherever he goes from here on in. I really believe that. I don't think you're going to see anything so much more dramatic by him at the age of 40, 39 and a half to almost 40 to go. Listen, you can go on as many dark vacations as you'd like to. You can sit in a cave in the dark all you want. That is not going to bring back throwing arm and speed. It will not. I don't care what voodoo child you believe in, but that ain't going to work. So it is what it is. It's a shitty thing in sports, but you get old.
Okay, here's another one, and you're not going to like this one.
Of course.
But do the New England Patriots make a play for Lamar Jackson?
If they were smart, they would.
Hey,
they were smart,
this
if
is
they
an
were smart, they
interesting one
would.
because, Belichick has, he's always said he does think that those late first-round picks are very expendable. He thinks that you can, and he proved it, you can build a team out of mid to late round players. So why not move him to try to get a guy that's already established? And it could be the dark horse of this thing.
I don't know. Are me and you the only ones on this planet that are excited about Lamar Jackson? Because I don't get it. I think he's such a special athlete. And I do too,
but I think the problem is that he played in a low visible market. Let's be real. Baltimore isn't a high visibility market. Everybody knows it, but they think Ray Lewis. And they think the color purple, and that's really as far as it goes. And so,
I agree.
It's not a big market, really, but also too, people didn't want to see. He also came in with Kyler Murray. Shoot, the other guy I'm missing, I'm forgetting. Burrow was around that time. Mahomes around that time. So you get overshadowed quickly. You get overshadowed. You there's 4 or 5 quarterbacks that are on.
He did get overshadowed though. He did.
Yeah, he had one awesome year, like incredible year. I got him off. on the fantasy side of things, I got off him the next year because I felt that it wasn't going to be great, and it was, and he got hurt, I think, too. And he's had ups and downs. Definitely when he's on,
he gets hurt because he scrambles. He gets hurt because he scrambles, right? And maybe you tell him won't scramble so much.
Yeah.
Like if you're
if you could put an O-line together, though, which we know the New England Patriots can.
Yes.
Oh boy. What do you do then? Like
trouble.
Yeah, and again, I think the Mac Jones experiment's over. I don't think Belichick wants to mess around. He got a lot of mileage out of Mac Jones. I don't think he's going to get any more out of him.
He did.
And so I think that you just try to do something different. But again, I to me, it's an interesting one. I don't know why people wouldn't be really making the calls and trying to get him, because I think if you can lock him down for that, you got a 10-year quarterback that could run the table for you. I mean, hey,
no. You know what you tell him to? You tell him you draw lines in the backfield where he runs, and you tell him, do not run outside the offensive line this side, and don't run outside the offensive line this side. You can run backwards all you want, and you don't go past the line of scrimmage for the first 6 to 8 games. Trust me, you'll end up being 7-1 after those 8 games, and then after that, we'll talk about ranging you out a little farther, okay, outside the offensive line. But until then, you're not doing that. And then if he listens to that and can follow it, which will be hard for a guy like him who's been scrambling his ass off his whole entire life, then you can see what can happen, because that's why he gets hurt, because he's always scrambling.
Yeah.
Can we talk about UFC for a sec? Because Leon Edwards is now the UFC welterweight champion, and rightfully so. And people shit on that guy. They talk shit about him.
What's the deal with them, though? Like, what's the deal?
But you know what the deal is this, that now they're saying that Colby Covington deserves the first title shot against him. And I thought to myself, if the UFC is not discombobulated enough with the owner smacking out his wife, doing slap fighting, doing this, doing all this other bullshit, and then you got the owner of the UFC standing there on literally on video telling everybody, well, fucking, he deserves it, for Christ's sakes. He deserves it. How Colby Covington, who hasn't fought in over a year, has not fought, deserves the title shot. I'm confused. Now, you would think that if I didn't know what I was talking about in this industry, which there's nobody in the world that probably knows more about MMA than I do. So what the crazy part is, I'm looking at this poor thing, and this Leon Edwards, this kid from England via Jamaica, great kid. He's standing there going, no, I'll fight anybody, but this Colby Covington,
it's been over a year since he fought.
Yeah, so how does he get in? And then Dana says, well, he got jumped. Like Colby Covington was hurt. He got jumped. I think it was by Masvidal or whatever, Jorge or whatever, jumped him or whatever.
He beat Masvidal out there last time.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I'm like, this is so bizarre to me that he's selling this to the public and nobody's buying it. Like nobody. Like, you're not buying it as much as we're buying slap fighting, okay? So they're buying it and they're looking at it and going, no, that guy doesn't deserve the title shot. And Leon Edwards is saying, no, I'm the champ now. Right. I'm not saying I'm picking who I'm fighting, but I am making a request that I fight someone that deserves it. Can you imagine a champ saying someone that deserves it? And I couldn't agree more with him. I mean, he's first class all the way. He paid his dues. He took the long way home. He didn't say shit, and they all dumped on him back in the day, going, he don't deserve this, he don't deserve that. And then he goes and wins the title and doesn't just arguably beat the guy that was one of the longest reigning welterweights of all time twice in a row. Then I don't know. I think he does deserve a little bit of his own way of doing things. You know what I mean? Not saying, he has to pick. And don't forget our dear friend, Jelena Martineau, that's on our show, 8-time world champ, is now in England training with the heavyweight champion of the world, Tyson Fury. So everybody go to Jelena's Instagram at Jelena Boxing, and you can check it out today. But she's awesome out there. And with our other guest, Sugar Hill.
Yep.
Sugar Hill that was on the show. He's the trainer of Tyson Fury. They're all out there running on the street, waving, and Jelena sends me a thing, and they're all, hey, Mark, how you doing? And I'm like, I'm cool. Looking at, and there she is, jogging with the heavyweight champ of the world.
That's amazing.
There's 5 people in this posse, Jelena, Sugar, and 2 other guys, and Tyson Fury, and I'm thinking to myself, good for you, Jelena. You know what I mean? Like, she deserves it.
Back to the Colby Covington thing, Dana White, to quote him, I'll quote him for you. This is about why Colby deserves. If Usman doesn't exist, Colby's been the champ for a while. So if someone wasn't born, then Colby could be the champ. Then he's been there forever. He cut the weight. He showed up to fill in for that fight, and a million reasons why he deserves that fight. Like, what million? You gave two, really. You gave two reasons why he deserves the fight, not a million. There isn't a million. There's one that you like him, you're his friend, and you want to give him a title shot again. The problem is, if he can't, he needs to fight Usman if he's gonna do it again. Like that, he has to go through that again. Because
why don't you do that? There you go. Yeah. Let him fight that, and then if he beats him, he fights him again.
Why don't they do? I can't understand why they don't do more, like publicly anyway. The winner of this fight gets the title shot,
like boxing does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why the hell not? Doesn't that make sense?
Totally.
I don't get why we aren't sitting there. Like, I'm going to tune in and watch because I want to know who's fighting the guy that I like. And I'm going to watch this other fight because the winner of it gets that one. How motivating is that? If I win this fight, I get a title shot.
Correct.
Like, I just don't get what the thing is. What's the deal with Usman now? Like, what's he going to do?
Yeah, nothing. You're right, Jesse. He's not going to do anything.
He's 20-3 for crying out loud.
Okay, you have Usman, who's ranked number 1. You have Colby Covington, who is ranked number 2.
How?
You have Khamzat Chimaev, who's now no longer number 3. He's going to the middleweight division. You have Bilal Muhammad, who I think deserves the next title shot, in my opinion. Then you have Gilbert Burns, who's fighting Street Jesus here. What's his name? Oh my God, Mazadov.
Oh,
Mazadov this weekend. Then you have Gilbert Burns, who, if he beats him, maybe he deserves a shot, and that sums it up. But how Colby Covington deserves that shot?
How is he still number 2?
I don't know. I don't know how that even happens when you don't
this
fight for a year.
This is the problem, and we've said it so many times about the UFC.
They run their own thing. It's not like boxing.
It just doesn't make sense.
Correct.
90% of the time, you're like, what? Like, why?
Yeah.
And again, like man, I just hope someone with billions and billions of dollars of money can just loves MMA just starts their own league and just does it properly, because
I couldn't agree more, bro. I could not agree more. Why Live MMA hasn't started yet, and
do it right.
Listen, I can't even imagine, like, low-hanging fruit is not even the word.
Oh, yeah.
I can't even imagine that they can't figure this out to do this, because the amount of buffoonery going on right now is like at an outrageous. Like,
word of the day, buffoonery.
Buffoonery. It's not a word. It's not a word.
Well, it's the word of the day. It can be now. You just said it. So I really don't get it. I really don't get the whole idea with that. But again, I haven't got the UFC for a while. In fact, they haven't done much to really try to get anybody to watch. And you know, they teased this Conor McGregor show, which is the only thing people talk about. Really.
Yes.
And so you're saying to us that nobody cares about what you're doing unless this guy's involved. That's a problem to me. That's a problem. You have a problem that your whole identity and brand is tied to one individual, and they're not even that good anymore. Let's be real.
No, they're not.
The guy looks
exactly.
like the guy looks like he's on the program. Let's be real. Have you seen pictures of him lately?
Yeah.
He looks like he's on the program. He looks like, you know, that movie's The Program. When was that? The 80s was it Wesley Snipes?
No, that was a great movie.
It was a great movie. It was awesome.
Back in the day, yeah.
But you know, you can see Conor standing in the shower letting the rain fall, like we all did in that movie. And he's like, he's on the program. Like, I can't see. The guy's neck is 4 times the size it ever has been.
How is he gonna USADA? He's never gonna pass the USADA thing.
No.
They're building up this fight to fight, you know, Chandler. And I'm like, really? Stop building it up, everybody. You're not going to see it. Yeah. You're not going to see that fight. He will not pass the drug test. I mean, unless they told him to stop doing it right now, today, and then he could get it out of his system. And I don't, you know, please, someone at home, tell us, you know, how to get it out of your system within a certain time frame. That's the only way that's going to happen, right? So, you know, that's once again, UFC confusion.
I don't get it at all, man. I don't understand what they're even thinking.
But the crazy part is because Dana White says that's what it is, and then what
that's
happens?
it, though.
Did you ever notice when you disagree with him what happens? Oh, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
You know
and that's
what
what
you're
he's
talking
basically
about.
just told
That's what he
the
does.
champ.
He just thinks you could bully people. And then the funny part was I was in the MMA business. He couldn't bully me because I used to tell him, like, just let me know the address you want me to show up to. You know what I mean? I'll fuck you up 3 ways from Sunday. I just said that on our podcast, right? At 55 years old. And I was like, yeah, man, I'm just like, just the way you bully people all the time, man. It's like, it's crazy. But people get away with it. Just like we asked Aaron. Listen, we had Aaron Tohill on our show last week. And she was a great guest. And I love Erin. But you know what the funny part was? Even when I asked her the question, what did she do, bro? She bunted. And I love Erin. She's awesome. First class all the way. But you know what's funny? When you ask any female about this situation, they have such disdain about it. Even we asked her last week. She didn't go up there and, put it on them. She bunted.
Yep.
She bunted.
Yep.
And I was like, really? You bunted on our show? And I was like, Aaron, shame on you because you're a stand-up chick, but she doesn't want to cut any bridges with what she said was very profound on the show. She said, Mark, he doesn't just have money, he has power. Yes. And then I thought, yeah, she's right.
Yep.
She's right.
It is absolutely
we know
true.
a lot of guys with money, but they don't got the power like Dana White does.
Yeah.
So Dana White can go ahead and do all these crazy things and not too much repercussion ever happens.
Exactly.
Or how about zero? How about zero repercussion happens?
Yeah, it is crazy that way.
Crazy.
NHL time. NHL is, the playoffs are getting closer and closer as we go.
Best thing to watch, undisputed best thing to watch during playoff time, in my opinion, is playoff hockey in the NHL. It is night and day than watching regular league hockey. And when you get to the playoffs and watch it is something.
I just don't think
special.
it's better than the NFL.
It's never going to be better than NFL, but what I'm trying to tell you is, like, same with playoff football.
The hockey is better. Yes. I see what you're saying.
Better.
Yes. And it's every night for the first couple rounds, I think, actually. And so every single night there's
it's
games,
intense, super intense.
And they're all meaningful. They all mean something. And it's all, do or die. And so, again, you're laying out the Leafs again right in there.
I don't even have to talk anymore. It's like, here we go again.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it again.
What happens? Again, I can't even imagine being a sports guy in Toronto. I can't imagine it.
No.
Like, what do you do? Like, they're all so scared of losing their press pass. Every one of them. There's not one that stands out. They're scared of that in Edmonton too. Let's be real. There's guys that
definitely.
And we know some of them, and you're like, but some are still scared.
This isn't New York. This isn't New York, or this isn't Chicago. This is like Edmonton. And I'm telling you, man, you got to be careful how you tone of your voice when you talk about that hockey team, and you have to be. Listen, they're playing great right now, but when they're not. When you see that, you trust me, guys are watching the tone that they're talking at, because if you even this much go across the line, you ain't there no more, man. No. And it's hard to be a sports guy in a city where you can't get access to the team.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't. And so again, I think that's bullshit, because I think you should.
It is bullshit.
You should be able to ask what you want to ask. And obviously, not trying to piss people off on purpose. I mean, kind of, but again, you need to be able to ask more. We do. We want to know. We want someone to get mad, because especially when your team is ass, you want someone to get mad. Like, at least show us that you're mad about it. At least show us that you're pissed about it. And, again, my team's in trouble, and they're fighting for a wild card spot. But, there's guys that are like, I'm pissed. Like, this isn't right. We should be way better. We're not.
And Calgary should.
And Calgary should. On paper, they should be. There's no question. They're underplaying. There's no question about it. But they're saying it, finally. They're saying, like, hey, we're well underperforming, and we know it. And, okay, fine, great. That being said, I can't imagine being a guy in Toronto. I can't imagine it. How, after when was the last time they made it out of the first round?
2014, my friend.
Almost
10 years ago.
Like, this is the thing, guys. And with the teams they've had for the last few years, and now, again, they're stacked, really.
But what are they missing, Jesse? What they used to talk about Edmonton. They're not tough. They're not a tough team. That's the problem.
In the East, you can get away with it a little bit until you run into Boston. You run into Boston, and all of a sudden,
problem,
you're like,
problem,
big time. And Carolina's gotten tough. Carolina's been playing awesome. It's so crazy.
First of all, you got to get through the Floridas. You have to get through Florida to start.
Yeah, Tampa's going to be there. The Hurricanes, the Devils are even playing really well.
Yeah, man.
And the Rangers too. And you look at it like, okay, and then you have the Islanders in a wild card spot, Pittsburgh in there too, and you can never count out Pittsburgh. They always play great in the playoffs. And then you have Florida, who hasn't played as well this year. They obviously lost Huberdeau, which is a big part. And they're getting a lot of points, but they're not being able to keep the puck out of the net as much.
Does that happen this year, though? Does this happen in Toronto this year? If they don't make it out of the first round, Brendan Shanahan out?
You have to.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a choice. You have to.
Yeah, out.
You have to do it. You have to do something. But
what happens then too with a team with Matthews and all these guys? What do you do now?
Well, you have to keep them. You have to keep that group. You have to keep Marner. You have to keep those guys together. I think you do. I think you have to keep them. You got good.
What can you get though if you don't let one of them go? Because
I think that is
you have to let one of them go to get 2 or 3 guys that.
But what is it though?
Players.
Because here's the thing. Here's my thing with it.
Yeah.
They don't need anything. Okay, yeah, they can get tough, but they can get a third line guy pretty easy.
Yeah.
There's not much you have to give up to get
team
that.
culture, my friend. Team culture.
But that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about. There's something wrong. There's something that smells in Denmark, and it's not the cheese.
The DNA.
And that's the thing. There's something that smells in Toronto, and it's not the cheese. Something isn't right.
Yep.
Something's not right. And
not
again,
right.
You saw the Oilers go through that for a long time, and finally, after years of fans freaking out and saying, "Get rid of the old boys club," they finally did it. And look what happens. Turning around. They want the cup. They want the trophy, obviously.
They're smelling the cup as we speak. They got their nose on the cup. Now, that don't mean anything. As we saw years and years and years, this could be, you could get knocked out in the first round in this day and age, right?
Especially when teams have all of a sudden gone off, like the Kings. They were one of the last place teams last year.
Now look at them.
They're second in the league. In power ranking, the Avalanche just jumped up 6 spots in the power ranking because they just went on a tear. And
always a problem.
Yeah, always a problem. McKinnon's on a 9-game point streak.
Yeah,
6 goals and 10 assists in that time. And again, it's like these guys a little bit wait for this month to really ramp it up, and they ramp it up.
It's always April. When April comes, it is like, it's not spring flowers, that other bullshit.
We're getting playoff ready.
This is the time when the guys just go like this with the gas. Yeah. And it's a different story. And there's another market that you talk about, Colorado, where you don't really hear about it on a
it's
daily
not like
basis.
What it was at all.
No. It's not like a daily basis thing, right?
No.
And then all of a sudden you hear, McKinnon's on 9 points, because you looked it up. But besides that, you didn't even know. But when McDavid's on a 10-point game, everybody knows. When Matthews is doing everything, everybody knows. You know what I mean? That's the hockey world.
Hey man, this will make you happy, and this is part of the issue with Toronto. So you see the Avalanche jack themselves up to rise 6 spots in the power rankings. The Leafs have fallen 6 spots in the power rankings, and this is my thing with teams. That have been the problem in the past, and you can see it. Now, the Oilers also came up 6 spots this week as well. And so you can see, some of these teams figuring things out, hey, it's now time to start applying the pressure. We're going to be ready. That game 1 that hits in that first round, it's going to be like we're already in the second round.
Yes, that's the trick, Jesse.
And we're already at that speed. We're already at that level. We're already used to that the contact. We're ready now. And I think that's what you're going to see. Yeah. And again, with the training and stuff today, they're not going to peak too early. That's just not going to happen anymore. But they have to actually get themselves ramped up to a point where they can actually perform at that level, and you can start to see the good teams do it. The Oilers and the Avalanche, to me, are 2 of those teams that definitely always are there. You see the Rangers rising a little bit, but the Leafs, what really spurred this for me was seeing them drop 6 spots. And again, one of the stats is, since the start of March, they've controlled just 40% of 5-on-5 play with goals included too.
Yeah.
So you're not going to win anything with that.
That's a problem.
That's
a problem.
Big trouble. Big trouble in there. And I do think that if they keep that mentality, you're going to see another early exit from the Toronto Maple Leafs. And again, I don't know what you do if you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. I feel sorry for you. I really do, because you on paper should be good. You should be, and you suck.
Leaf fans, just to make this clear on the Me and Jesse podcast, I don't feel sorry for you. Suck it. You
I
guys
feel sorry for you as a
grovel.
fan. I think it's terrible. Like, your team should be awesome, and you suck. You can't put it together.
Should be.
It's
what that means? That no longer has anything to do with hockey. That has to do with culture. Yeah. And we've spoke on this podcast a gazillion times. When you don't have, I don't give a shit how good you can skate. I don't care about your stick handling. I don't care about none of that stuff. If you guys can't get along and die for each other, it ain't going to happen. We've seen it time and time again. We saw it when St. Louis won the cup, when we saw it when all these other teams won the cup, and they brought certain key players in to make that difference, and they actually did. Some guys are raw guys, and some guys are not. They're in the dressing room, and their aura brings you to life
for sure.
And that's Steve Yzerman was that guy. Like, he was in the dressing room, he didn't have to say shit. You just looked at him and touched him like the Buddha, and you knew, wow, we're gonna do some shit here, right? But that's the trick moving forward. I mean, I'm not even saying sports psychiatrists are the answer, but I am saying, like, they don't want to listen to the sis boom ba. We're going to see right now with Colorado State coming up. We got prime time. Deion Sanders is the coach now. He went, from Jackson State. Yeah. Now he's called, and everybody follows on Instagram now. It's fantastic. And he's not an over the top raw guy, but he is getting in people's faces. Yep. And he's a throwback.
Yep.
Now let's see if a throwback. And what he said the other day I thought was so interesting, because he was doing the barbershop thing with a bunch of guys. And they go, man, you were coming across super arrogant and super crazy. And, you brought luggage to the meeting about, like, you guys can take this luggage and beat it, like, pack your bags.
Yeah.
And he said, now, am I wrong? Or is the team that last year was 1-15 wrong? They were 1-15.
Yeah.
He goes, who am I offending? They're offending me by being 1-15.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, bravo, prime time. But the only way you save this is if you go 8-7, 9-6.
Yeah, you got to try to turn this around a bit. You said the right things, but now you got to put the action. And again, Deion.
That has to translate.
Here's the difference. Like, Deion used to, and he did say it. He said it, but he backed it up on the field too.
Did he ever?
He wasn't joking around. He wasn't just talking. He walked the talk. And so, this is a little different when he's coach. Now it's up to everybody else. He's got to do his things, but
he can't do it.
Again, like, hey, I'm cheering for him. I really am. I really want him to
He just went on a bench press this morning in the room, put 245 on.
Wow.
So that's two pies and a 10 on both sides, and repped it out for 6 reps. And I'm like, is this guy for real? Like, legit, right? And
that's
he's
awesome.
Like, yeah, but that's who he is, man. This guy is a winner. He's winning his whole entire life. If you can't listen to this guy, you can't listen to nobody.
Well, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget, if you, spring is coming. In some places, it's already spring break. So don't take your shirt off without, taking care of the old back forest you got there. Take
you
that
want to be
off.
Golf balls off the back.
Yeah. You don't want to get lost in the rough when you're getting out of the shower. And so head over to backscape.com and subscribe and save today. They have a deal going on right now. Subscribe. You get precision shave heads sent right to your door every, couple months, so you'll always be fresh and clean.
Fantastic. And don't forget, everybody, Crystal Glass, your clear choice for all your glass needs. Call 310-GLASS or go to crystalglass.ca today.
Until next time, everybody. Right down there is Mark Pavelich. I'm Jesse Martineau. We'll see what happens in the old Final Four coming up here. And until then, we'll see you next time on Me and Jesse Podcast.
Thanks for watching the Me and Jesse Podcast. Follow us at facebook.com/Me and Jesse.